I got an exclusive sneak peek at the new restaurant Real Caribbean is developing for Legend of the Seas that makes you feel like you're on a classic train following the route of Marco Polo. I went down to Real Caribbean's headquarters in Miami to its innovation lab to board a scale replica of Royal Railway Legend Station. This is one of the big changes coming to Legend of the Seas when it launches in 2026. This is a specialty restaurant in which guests dine in a full-size rail car that looks and feels like a real train. It's a specialty restaurant, and this experience relies on digital screens built into the windows of the train car, sophisticated sounds and vibrations, and crew members acting as conductors to weave together a story. It's called Silk Routes, and it traces the journey of famed explorer Marco Polo from China back to Italy. There are stops in multiple countries, and each country representing a course on the menu. Now, I got to try the first version of this restaurant that was launched on Utopia this season that has a Wild West theme, but Royal Caribbean wanted to share with all of you an exclusive first look to test out this new idea at its headquarters in Miami that's still very much in development. So this is really a first look because they're still fine-tuning the final version. Along with about 20 other Royal Caribbean employees, I got to try out the full meal to see, taste, and hear what you might be able to experience when you get on board this brand new ship. And as I mentioned, this is an early version of the restaurant, but the purpose is to not only ensure the effects, crew members, and experience work like it should, but also gather a lot of feedback from people that are there. Royal Caribbean is adamant about getting guest feedback and taking it into account when they come up with their final product. And a prototype allows them to test and adjust leading right up to the ship's launch. The idea with this restaurant is it's going to take you across the world and visit 5 countries: China, India, Persia, Turkey, and Italy. And each country corresponds to a course, and the cuisine is representative of those parts of the world. Now, for our test, we had a limited selection of food choices for this trial run, but when you get on board, you can expect a full menu when it opens on Legend. Now, whether you've been to the first restaurant or not, I really believe your jaw is going to drop when those window shades go up and you're transported to China and each subsequent country. In fact, I think this is the genius of Silk Routes. Because there are multiple countries and each has its own distinct look, the novelty of looking out the windows doesn't get old. The digital screens rely on high-definition computer renderings to portray the landscapes you're passing by. And there's some really cool things you'd pass by, not just the landscape, but like things happening here. This is a living world. There was holy celebrations in India, Dolomites in northern Italy, and hot air balloons over Turkey. And I really hope that Royal Caribbean keeps these. I think it's a really fun idea. In fact, one scene, it actually rained, and there was water going down the digital screens. Now, along the way, the conductor is your guide throughout the journey. The conductor not only announces which country and region you're passing by, but he also explains traditions, significant landmarks, and shares some history as well. In addition, the menu you have not only lists the food choices you can pick from, but it also explains where you're going. Now, unlike the map from the fictitious Wild West version of this restaurant, this one is rooted in reality. Each region has an explanation of its history and what drew Marco Polo there in the first place. But besides the part of the world you're visiting, one change you should expect is less shtick with the conductors there. The conductor this time is here to narrate, not act. It relies more heavily on great food and great drinks, and you get to enjoy the places your train takes you. Basically, the immersion factor is definitely turned up with Silk Routes. Where Wild West was very family-centric, I think Silk Routes will be more of an experience you'd want to go to celebrate a special occasion or simply enjoy an evening out doing something special. That isn't to say kids wouldn't enjoy this too, but don't expect a storytelling aspect akin to the Wild West show. Now, let's talk about the food, because in my preview, we got an idea of the menu that Royal Railway Legend Station will have on it when it opens. And this is a brand new menu. But don't assume anything shown here on this menu will make the final cut. The idea is to give you an idea of the direction that Royal Caribbean is leaning into and the rich culinary history that each option has to offer. For example, on our menu, we had the choice of duck egg rolls from China, potato chop from India, and a lot more. Now again, this food was prepped in a ghost kitchen, so this is simply just to give you an idea of what might end up on the final cut. But I really do hope, though, that the potato chop and the Adana kebab makes the final menu because they were really, really good. As a fan of Indian food, I love Royal Caribbean is finally giving us a specialty restaurant that serves curry, biryani, and more. Now, when the restaurant opens, I'll have a hard time choosing between the various options, but that's a problem for future Mac. Speaking of choices, the early version of this menu seems to have way more choices than the Wild West menu, and I'm all for variety, so I'd love to see that stay on as well. When Royal Railway opened up on Utopia of the Seas, it was instantly sold out, and I think the version coming to Legend will be even a hotter ticket. Not only is this the second version of the restaurant, but it's substantially different in the approach. I think they'll get a lot of cruisers wanting to try silk routes, whether they've done Wild West or not, because leaning into the international showcase of food is such a smart idea for silk routes, and it's something I think most people want, a greater variety of food that goes well beyond just another specialty restaurant. Now, the immersive factor cannot be understated with silk routes. Royal Caribbean designed this train restaurant to be a memory-making super machine, and I think anybody dining here will be talking about it well after the check is delivered. Certainly when I dined on Utopia of the Seas and got to experience it there, I was really amazed by the technology factor with it, and I think with silk routes, that'll continue. But again, some of the changes they're making with silk routes in order to expand the cuisine to different regions and to reduce the shtick might actually appeal to, I think, more of an adult audience. Once again, I don't think kids are going to have a problem eating here or enjoying the experience. I think my kids would enjoy it as well. The difference is there's less the story element, because in Wild West, the story element is very much family centric. It focuses on really trying to get people involved in a loose story about train robbers, and it's fun and it's cute. Here, that fun and cute factor isn't really present. Now, of course, this is going to all change, by the way, because this is still a test version. But in speaking with Royal Caribbean executives, it seems clear they want to go in a slightly different direction. If you're wondering how much silk routes will cost, well, we don't know that yet because Royal Caribbean has not put it out for sale. It is indeed a specialty restaurant, and certainly whatever they're charging for the Wild West version is probably a good baseline for what we can expect with silk routes at the very least. After trying out the early version of silk routes, I have really high hopes. After all, I've done the Wild West version on Utopia, and I recently even tried the whiskey tasting option on there. In both cases, I was really impressed by the technology, but also the fact that it's just something different. Like, ultimately, when you're going on a cruise, if you're brand new to it, well, I think this is really going to capture your attention. But if you're a been there, done that kind of person as well, this is definitely something that you probably haven't done, and it's different enough with silk routes, at least in this version, from the Wild West, that I think it really does appeal to folks who want to do a special occasion. Ultimately, people go on cruises, they're looking to celebrate, and they're looking to make memories. These are two core tenets of, I think, what most people look for in a Royal Caribbean cruise vacation. They're celebrating. Maybe they're just getting away on a trip. Maybe they're going on a honeymoon or celebrating a birthday or anniversary, but they're away from the real life. They're escaping. They're looking to celebrate and enjoy that experience. On top of that, they want to have memories. Maybe it's a humble brag, like, look what I did. Maybe it's the, can you believe we did this kind of thing? Or simply sharing the experience as something fun with family and friends. So now I want to hear from you. What do you think of silk routes in this early version? Of course, we'll do a full review when it does open on Legend of the Seas, but I'm very eager to see this restaurant finally open on Legend when the new ship launches in 2026. Share your thoughts in the comments below. But coming up is a look at all the changes coming to Legend of the Seas and how it'll be different from Icon and Star. Thanks for watching. This has been Matt from RealCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.